The judge was laughing at me. Not a polite chuckle. A real laugh. The kind that makes your stomach turn inside out. My name is Riley Carter. I'm 23 years old, and I grew up in California thinking I'd never amount to anything. That's what my aunt told me every single day for 10 years. And now, standing in this courtroom in San Jose, watching that judge wipe tears from his eyes while my aunt's lawyer called me a manipulative gold digger, I felt like that scared 13-year-old girl all over again. The girl who believed she was worthless. The courtroom was packed. Tech executives in the back row. Journalists with cameras. My Aunt Cynthia sat at the plaintiff's table in a designer suit I knew cost more than I made in 6 months as a barista. Her lawyer was a shark in a tie. He stood there with this smug grin, holding up a photo of me in my coffee shop apron. Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen, this is Riley Carter. A barista. No college degree on record. No business experience. No technical background whatsoever. He paused for effect. And yet, she wants us to believe she built a $5 million tech company? The gallery erupted. Whispers turned to laughter. Someone in the back actually said, "Come on." I felt my hands shaking. My cheap blazer suddenly felt too tight. I couldn't breathe. Cynthia's lawyer walked closer to me. "Ms. Carter, isn't it true that you befriended Richard Holden specifically because he was elderly, wealthy, and had no living relatives?" "No," I whispered. "Speak up, please." "No, that's not." "Isn't it true that you convinced this dying man to sign over his company to you while he was heavily medicated?" My lawyer stood up. "Objection, Your Honor. There's no evidence." The judge waved him off. Overruled. The witness can answer. I looked at Cynthia. She was smiling. Actually smiling. This woman who raised me. Who told everyone she saved me after my mom died. Who made me sleep in a basement and called me stupid every single day of my teenage life. She was about to take everything from me. And the worst part? Everyone believed her. "Ms. Carter." The lawyer's voice was syrup-sweet now. Fake concern. "I understand this is difficult. But you need to admit the truth. You're just a barista who got lucky. A young woman who saw an opportunity and took advantage of a vulnerable old man. There's no shame in." Something inside me snapped. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. The entire courtroom went quiet. My lawyer grabbed my arm, trying to pull me back down. I shook him off. "Your Honor," my voice cracked. I cleared my throat. Tried again. "Your Honor, may I speak?" The judge looked annoyed. He glanced at his watch. "Ms. Carter, your attorney will have time to present your defense. Please sit. I need to say something. Right now." He sighed. Waved his hand like I was a fly. "Fine. Make it quick." I reached into my bag. My fingers found the tablet. The hard drive. The USB stick. Everything I'd prepared for this exact moment. Because I knew. I always knew this day would come. When you grow up being told you're nothing, you learn to keep receipts. "You're right," I said. My voice was steady now. Stronger. "I am a barista." Or I was. I made minimum wage plus tips at a cafe in Palo Alto for 5 years. Cynthia's lawyer smiled. Victory in his eyes. "But that's not all I am." I held up the tablet. "I'm also a software engineer. I graduated from Stanford University with a degree in computer science. Full scholarship. 4.0 GPA. I specialized in artificial intelligence and neural networks." The courtroom noise shifted. Confusion now instead of laughter. I built NeuroBloom from the ground up. Every single line of code. Every algorithm. Every feature. Me. Not Richard Holden. He was the investor. The mentor. The only person who ever believed in me. But the technology? That's mine. The judge leaned forward. "Ms. Carter, do you have proof of these claims?" I almost laughed. "Proof? Did I have proof?" "Your Honor, I have recordings. Hundreds of hours. Every single meeting I had with Mr. Holden. Every conversation. Every decision. He insisted we document everything because he knew." My voice broke. I pushed through. He knew this would happen. He knew people would try to take it from me. Most people never see betrayal coming from family. They think blood means loyalty. They're wrong. Subscribe so you know the warning signs before it's too late. I pressed play on the tablet. Mr. Holden's voice filled the courtroom. Clear. Sharp. Nothing like the confused old man Cynthia's lawyer described. Riley, make sure we record this. When I'm gone, they'll come for you. They always do. But we'll be ready. The judge's expression changed. The smirk disappeared. He sat up straighter. Cynthia's face drained of color. White as paper. Her lawyer started flipping through documents, panicking. Searching for something. Anything. I have patent filings, I continued. My voice was steel now. With my name as the sole inventor. I have commit logs showing every update to the codebase. Timestamped. Verified. I have emails from venture capitalists asking to meet with me specifically about my technology. And I have one more thing. I pulled out the USB stick. Held it up. I have a recording of my aunt. I looked directly at Cynthia. From 6 months before Mr. Holden died. A conversation she had with him. One she didn't know he was recording. Cynthia stood up. That's illegal. You can't. Sit down, the judge commanded. His voice cut through the room like a knife. Ms. Carter, play the recording. My finger hovered over the button. 10 years of abuse. 10 years of being called worthless. 10 years of being told I'd never be anything. All of it was about to be answered. I pressed play. And in that moment, I watched my aunt realize she'd lost everything. Let me take you back. Back to when this all started. Back to the day my world ended and Cynthia pretended to save it. I was 13 years old when my mom died. Car accident on Highway 101. Some drunk driver ran a red light. She was gone before the ambulance arrived. I remember the police officer at our door. The way his face looked. How he couldn't meet my eyes. I remember screaming. I remember neighbors coming over. I remember everything going fuzzy after that. Like my brain decided to protect me by making it all feel like a dream. The funeral was small. Mom didn't have much family. Just her sister. Cynthia. They hadn't spoken in years. Some fight about money or inheritance or something adult that I didn't understand back then. But Cynthia showed up in all black, crying louder than anyone. Hugging me. Telling everyone who'd listen that she'd take care of me. That family sticks together. Everyone called her a hero. I believed them. The first week at Cynthia's house in Sacramento was okay. She set up the guest room for me. Let me bring my mom's photos. Made my favorite foods. Asked about school. I thought maybe this would be fine. Maybe I'd found a home again. Then the bills started coming. Mom's medical debt. Funeral costs. Credit cards I didn't know existed. Cynthia sat me down at the kitchen table one night. Her face was different. Harder. Riley, your mother left me with a mess. $20,000 in debt. I'm taking you in out of the goodness of my heart, but you need to understand something. This isn't free. I was 13. I didn't understand money. I just nodded. You'll help around the house. Clean. Cook. Do laundry. And when you're old enough, you'll get a job. We clear? Yes, ma'am. She smiled. But it wasn't warm. Good. Now, the guest room is actually my office. You'll sleep in the basement. I set up a pull-out couch down there. The basement was cold. Concrete floors. One tiny window. Boxes everywhere. The couch smelled like mold. But I didn't complain. I was lucky, right? Cynthia kept telling me how lucky I was. High school was hell. Not because of bullies or bad grades. Because of Cynthia. Every parent-teacher conference, she'd introduce herself as the aunt who stepped up when no one else would. Teachers would praise her. Meanwhile, at home, she'd scream at me for using too much electricity. For eating too much food. For breathing too loud. If you've ever had someone underestimate you, you'll want to see where this goes. Hit subscribe. I threw myself into school. It was my only escape. Math made sense. Science had rules. I could control that. My sophomore year, I discovered computer science. Our school had one old lab with ancient computers. I'd stay after class, teaching myself to code. My teacher, Miss Chin, noticed. She gave me books. Told me I had talent. Real talent. I started dreaming about college. Maybe even Stanford. It was only 2 hours away. Miss Chin said I could get scholarships. That my grades were good enough. I made the mistake of telling Cynthia. She laughed so hard she spilled her wine. College? Riley, be realistic. You're not smart enough for college. You're barely passing English. That was a lie. I had straight A's. Besides, who's going to pay for it? Me? After everything I've sacrificed for you. I stopped talking about dreams after that. When I turned 18, Cynthia handed me newspaper classifieds. Time to contribute. Find a job. Any job. And you'll pay me $300 a month for rent. I got hired at the cafe. Brewed coffee. Cleaned tables. Smiled at customers who treated me like I was invisible. Cynthia told her friends I'd finally found my calling. Riley's working at a coffee shop. It's perfect for her. She's not exactly going anywhere in life. But late at night, after Cynthia went to bed, I'd pull out my cracked laptop. The screen had lines through it. The battery lasted maybe an hour. But it worked. I taught myself Python. JavaScript. I built little programs. Useless stuff. A calculator. A to-do list app. But each one felt like proof. Proof I was more than what Cynthia said. I applied to Stanford in secret. Community college first, then transferred. Full scholarship. Need-based. Merit-based. Every grant I could find. When the acceptance letter came, I hid it in my mattress. Didn't tell a soul. For 3 years, I lived a double life. Worked at the cafe from 5 a.m. to noon. Drove 2 hours to Stanford. Took classes until 8 p.m. Drove home. Did homework in the basement until 3 a.m. Slept. Repeated. Cynthia never noticed. She stopped paying attention to me the moment I started paying rent. The exhaustion nearly killed me. I survived on coffee and spite. Every time I wanted to quit, I'd remember Cynthia's voice. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. And I'd work harder. Then came Mr. Holden. He walked into the cafe on a Tuesday morning. Exactly 6 a.m. Ordered black coffee. No sugar. No cream. Sat in the corner booth with a newspaper. He was older. 70-something. Silver hair. Kind eyes. Dressed nice, but not flashy. He came back the next day. Same time. Same order. Same booth. Third day, I noticed him watching me. Not creepy. Curious. Like he was trying to figure something out. Fourth day, I was on my break. Laptop open. Working on an assignment. Machine learning algorithms. I was stuck on a bug. Frustrated. Muttering to myself. You're using the wrong training model. I looked up. Mr. Holden stood there with his coffee. Pointing at my screen. Excuse me. Your neural network. You're overfitting the data. See here? You need to add dropout layers. Regularization. I stared at him. How do you? I was an engineer. 40 years at tech companies you've heard of. Retired now. But I still know code when I see it. He smiled. May I? I should have said no. Stranger danger and all that. But something in his voice felt safe. I nodded. He sat down. Fixed my code in 3 minutes. Explained what I did wrong. Taught me a better approach. My program ran perfectly. I almost cried. Where'd you learn to code? He asked. Self-taught. Mostly. I'm taking classes at Stanford. His eyebrows shot up. Stanford? Computer science? Yes, sir. While working here full-time? I nodded. He studied me for a long moment. Then he reached into his wallet. Pulled out a business card. Richard Holden. Technology consultant. Riley, he glanced at my name tag. I come here every morning. Same time. If you ever want to talk about your work, I'd be happy to listen. No strings. Just an old man who misses solving problems. That was the beginning. The start of everything. Real success always leaves clues. If you want to catch every twist in this story, subscribe now before you miss what happens next. For 6 months, Mr. Holden became my teacher. My mentor. We'd talk during my breaks. He'd review my code. Give me advice. Tell me stories about the tech industry. About building companies. About surviving in a world that doesn't respect people like us. People who came from nothing. He asked about my family once. I lied. Said they were supportive. He didn't push. But I think he knew. Something in the way I flinched when my phone rang. The way I never invited anyone to where I lived. One morning, I showed him something different. Not a school project. My own idea. An app for mental health support. AI-powered therapy. Affordable. Accessible. For people who couldn't afford real therapists. People like teenage me. Who needed help but had no one to turn to. Mr. Holden went quiet. Read through my notes. My code. My business plan. I'd worked on it for months. Probably stupid. Probably impossible. Finally, he looked up. His eyes were wet. Riley, this is incredible. This could help millions of people. It's just an idea. No. It's more than that. It's a solution. He closed my laptop carefully. I want to invest in you. Not the idea. You. I'll provide seed funding. Business guidance. Connections. You build the technology. We split the company. 30% me. 70% you. My heart stopped. Mr. Holden, I can't accept. You're not accepting charity. You're accepting an investment. I've been in this business long enough to know talent when I see it. And Riley? He squeezed my hand. You're the most talented person I've met in 40 years. Don't let anyone tell you different. I cried right there in the cafe. Full ugly crying. The other barista asked if I was okay. I couldn't speak. Just nodded. That night, I went home and stared at the basement ceiling. For the first time in 5 years, I let myself believe. Maybe I wasn't worthless. Maybe Cynthia was wrong. Maybe I could be something. 3 days later, Mr. Holden and I signed the papers. NeuroBloom was born. And I didn't tell Cynthia a single thing. Building a company while living in your aunt's basement is harder than it sounds. Mr. Holden rented us a small office in Palo Alto. 1 room. 2 desks. A coffee maker. He called it headquarters. I called it heaven. For the first time in my life, I had a space that was mine. Well, ours. A place where I could think. Create. Dream without someone telling me I was wasting my time. We worked like demons. Mr. Holden handled the business side. Incorporation papers. Legal stuff. Investor meetings. I built the actual platform. The AI. The user interface. The algorithms that would connect people with mental health resources based on their needs and budget. Every line of code was mine. Every feature. Every bug fix. I lived in that office. Slept on the couch some nights. Showered at the gym down the street. Cynthia noticed I was gone more. Started asking questions. I told her I picked up extra shifts. She bought it. Why wouldn't she? In her mind, I was still just a stupid barista. Incapable of anything more. 6 months in, we had a prototype. Mr. Holden invited 3 venture capital firms to see a demo. I was terrified. These were sharks. People who ate startups for breakfast. I wore my only nice dress. Practiced my pitch 100 times. When the day came, my hands shook so bad I could barely hold the remote. But then I started talking about the problem. About how mental health care is broken in America. How people die waiting for help they can't afford. How I built something that could change that. The shaking stopped. My voice got stronger. This was my purpose. My calling. 2 of the 3 firms made offers. We took neither. Mr. Holden said we didn't need them yet. We'd bootstrap. Keep control. Grow organically. He believed in the long game. Riley, venture capital money comes with strings. They'll want to change your vision. Tell you how to run your company. We're not ready for that. Let's prove ourselves first. Smart man. I listened. We launched NeuroBloom publicly in September. Small launch. Press release. Social media. I expected maybe 100 users the first week. We got 3,000. The platform worked. People loved it. Reviews poured in. 5 stars. Messages thanking us. Telling us we saved their lives. I read every single one. Cried over most of them. The tech blogs noticed. TechCrunch wrote an article. New mental health platform shows promise. Forbes mentioned us. NeuroBloom, the future of accessible therapy. The attention was wild. Overwhelming. Mr. Holden handled the press. Kept my name quiet. Protected me. You're not ready for the spotlight yet, he said. Let the product speak for itself. Revenues started coming in. Subscriptions. Premium features. partnerships with insurance companies. By December, we were profitable. Actually making money. Real money. Mr. Holden sat me down. Showed me the numbers. We're valued at about $1 million now. Maybe more. Riley, you did this. You built something real. I couldn't process it. A year ago, I was worried about making rent. Now I was a millionaire? On paper, at least. It didn't feel real. Still doesn't sometimes. When everyone turns against you, the truth is your only weapon. Subscribe to see how she fights back. But Mr. Holden was changing. Getting tired easier. Forgetting things. Skipping meals. I noticed, but didn't say anything. Didn't want to be rude. Then one day, he didn't show up to the office. First time in 8 months. I called him. No answer. Drove to his house. Found him on the couch. Pale. Weak. I need to tell you something, he said. His voice was barely a whisper. I've been sick for a while. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. I didn't want to worry you while we were building. But the doctors say I have maybe 3 months. Maybe less. The room spun. My vision blurred. No, there's treatment. We can. Riley, listen to me. I'm 81 years old. I've had a good life. A full life. The past year with you? Building this? It's been the best year I've had since my daughter died. You gave an old man purpose again. I'm grateful. But now I need you to promise me something. I was crying. Couldn't stop. Anything. Keep going. Finish this. Neurobloom is going to change the world. But you have to be strong. People are going to come for you. They're going to try to take it. They'll say you're too young. Too inexperienced. That you don't deserve it. Promise me you won't listen. Promise me you'll fight. I promise. Good. He smiled. Weak but genuine. I'm updating my will. Leaving you my shares. 70% of the company. It's yours. You earned it. My lawyer has all the documents. Recordings of our meetings. Proof of your work. Everything you'll need to protect yourself. Mr. Holden, please. Riley, I don't have kids. No family. You're the closest thing I've got. And I'm proud of you. So damn proud. Don't ever forget that. He died 3 weeks later. Peacefully. In his sleep. I was with him. Held his hand. Told him about the new feature I built. How we hit 50,000 users. He smiled. Said, good job, kiddo. Then he closed his eyes. Just like that. Gone. The funeral was small. I was the only one there besides his lawyer and the priest. No family. No friends. Just me. The barista he took a chance on. I sobbed through the whole service. Couldn't speak when they asked if I wanted to say something. Just stood there. Broken. A week later, his lawyer called me. Miss Carter, we need to discuss Mr. Holden's will. Can you come to my office? I went. Sat in a leather chair that cost more than my car. The lawyer, Mr. Patterson, was kind. Professional. He handed me a folder. Mr. Holden left very specific instructions. His entire estate, including his 70% stake in Neurobloom, goes to you. The company is now valued at approximately $5 million. Congratulations, Ms. Carter. You're a very wealthy woman. I stared at the papers. Couldn't read them. The words swam. 5 million? That couldn't be right. Are you sure? Maybe there's family somewhere. A cousin or... No family. Mr. Holden was very clear. He recorded several video statements explaining his decision. He wanted to ensure no one could challenge his intentions. Everything goes to you. I signed the papers. Walked out in a daze. Sat in my car for an hour. Just breathing. Mr. Holden was gone. But he left me everything. Not just money. A legacy. Proof that I mattered. That I was capable. That I was enough. I should have been happy. Grateful. Instead, I felt hollow. Because the one person who believed in me was gone. And I was alone again. My phone rang. Cynthia. I ignored it. She called again. And again. 12 times in 2 hours. Finally, I answered. Riley. We need to talk. Right now. Come home. It's important. Her voice was ice. My stomach dropped. What's wrong? I saw the news. That man you worked for? The one who died? He left you money. A lot of money. We need to discuss this. There's nothing to discuss. It's mine. Riley, I raised you. Fed you. Put a roof over your head when no one else would. That money should be mine. I deserve compensation for everything I've sacrificed. I hung up. My hands were shaking. She called back immediately. I blocked her number. Drove to my apartment. Yeah, I'd finally moved out 2 months before. Locked the door. Turned off my phone. But I knew this wasn't over. Cynthia never let anything go. Especially money. 3 days later, a man knocked on my door. Handed me an envelope. Legal papers. Cynthia was suing me, claiming I manipulated Mr. Holden. That I committed elder abuse. That I stole what should have been hers as my guardian. I read the lawsuit. Felt sick. She was actually doing this. My own aunt. The woman who was supposed to protect me. She was trying to destroy everything I built. The court date was set. 6 weeks away. I hired a lawyer. Young guy. Fresh out of law school. Doing pro bono work. He was nice. Competent. But inexperienced. We prepared as best we could. Gathered evidence. Documents. Emails. Mr. Holden's recordings. Everything. But he warned me. Riley, the judge assigned to this case has a reputation. He sides with families in inheritance disputes. And you're young. You look young. They're going to paint you as a manipulator. A gold digger. We have to be ready for anything. The weeks passed in a blur. Neurobloom kept growing. Hit 100,000 users. The board wanted to meet. Investors called. But I couldn't focus. All I could think about was the trial. About losing everything. About Cynthia winning. The night before court, I couldn't sleep. Lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Thinking about Mr. Holden. About my mom. About every person who ever told me I wasn't enough. I thought about giving up. Just settling. Giving Cynthia some money to make her go away. But then I remembered my promise. Keep going. Keep fighting. Don't let them win. So I gathered my evidence. My laptop. My tablet. The hard drives with Mr. Holden's recordings. And the USB stick. The one with the final recording. The one even my lawyer didn't know about yet. The one that would end this. One way or another. Morning came. I put on my cheap blazer. My only professional outfit. Drove to the courthouse. Saw Cynthia waiting with her team of expensive lawyers. She smiled at me. Predatory. Confident. She thought she'd already won. Let her think that. I walked into that courtroom with my head up. My evidence ready. And I waited. Waited for them to underestimate me. To laugh at me. To call me just a barista. Because that's when I'd show them exactly who Riley Carter really was. The courtroom smelled like old wood and broken dreams. I sat at the defendant's table. My lawyer, Marcus Chin, shuffled papers next to me. 26 years old. Nervous energy. Good heart. But we both knew we were outgunned. Across the aisle, Cynthia had 3 attorneys. Lead counsel was Dominic Fraser. 60. Gray hair. Shark eyes. The kind of lawyer who bills $1,000 an hour and earns every penny destroying people like me. The gallery was packed. I recognized faces from tech blogs. Journalists. A few Neurobloom board members who came to watch the carnage. Nobody was here to support me. They were here for the show. The young barista who supposedly conned a dying man. Everyone loves watching someone fall. Judge Morrison entered. 70s. Distinguished. The kind of face you see on Currency. He'd been on the bench for 30 years. Marcus warned me about him. He's old school. Believes in family values. Traditional inheritance rights. This won't be easy. That was an understatement. Fraser stood for opening statements. Buttoned his suit jacket. Addressed the jury like they were old friends. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is simple. A vulnerable elderly man was manipulated by a cunning young woman who saw an opportunity and took it. Richard Holden was 81 years old. Dying of cancer. Alone. And Riley Carter, he turned to look at me with disgust. She worked at the coffee shop he frequented. She befriended him. Gained his trust. Convinced him she was some kind of tech genius when in reality, she's a high school graduate with no credentials, no experience, and no moral compass. Marcus objected. Judge Morrison waved him off. Continue, Mr. Fraser. Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant claims she built this company called Neurobloom. That she's a Stanford graduate. A software engineer. But there's no record of her enrollment. No degree. No documentation whatsoever. What we have instead is a pattern of deception. A young woman who isolated a dying man from any potential oversight and convinced him to sign over millions of dollars. This isn't a case about inheritance rights. It's a case about justice. About protecting the vulnerable. About making sure predators like Ms. Carter don't get away with elder abuse. He sat down. The jury looked at me like I was garbage. Cynthia dabbed her eyes with a tissue, playing the grieving family member. The hero who tried to save her niece from herself. I wanted to vomit. Marcus stood for our opening. He tried. Really tried. Talked about Mr. Holden's sound mind. His clear intentions. My actual accomplishments. But his voice wavered. He was scared. The jury could smell it. Fraser's first witness was a doctor. Testified that pancreatic cancer patients often experience cognitive decline. That pain medication can impair judgment. Made it sound like Mr. Holden was basically a zombie when he signed those papers. It was all lies. Mr. Holden was sharp until the end. But the jury ate it up. Second witness was a financial expert. Broke down the numbers. $5 million is an extraordinary amount to leave to someone outside the family. Especially someone with no documented relationship to the deceased. This raises significant red flags regarding undue influence. Third witness was Cynthia herself. She took the stand in black. Mourning clothes. Clutched that tissue like her life depended on it. Fraser guided her through the story. How she raised me after my mother died. How she sacrificed everything for me. How she tried to teach me right from wrong, but I was always troubled. Always difficult. I begged Riley to stay in school, Cynthia said, her voice breaking perfectly. But she dropped out. Started working at that cafe. I was so worried about her. And then she met Mr. Holden. She started acting strange. Secretive. Wouldn't tell me anything about her life. I thought maybe she'd found a grandfather figure. Someone to look up to. I never imagined, she sobbed. Full performance. I never imagined she was manipulating him for money. I gripped the table. Nails digging into wood. Marcus put his hand on mine. Whispered, stay calm. We'll get our turn. But would we? Fraser was destroying us. Every witness. Every document. Every insinuation. The jury kept looking at me with more and more disgust. By lunch recess, I could feel the verdict already forming. Guilty. Manipulator. Thief. We reconvened after lunch. Fraser called his star witness. A handwriting expert who claimed Mr. Holden's signature on the will showed signs of physical distress. The pressure is uneven. The letters unstable. This suggests the signer was either heavily medicated or under duress. More lies. But effective lies. The kind that stick. Finally, Fraser rested his case. Judge Morrison looked at Marcus. Defense, call your first witness. Marcus stood. Your Honor, the defense calls Riley Carter to the stand. I walked to the witness box on shaking legs. The bailiff swore me in. I sat down. Looked at the jury. 12 strangers who would decide my fate. None of them smiled. None of them looked sympathetic. They'd already made up their minds. Marcus started gentle. Asked about my relationship with Mr. Holden. How we met. What we talked about. I answered honestly. Explained the coding. The mentorship. The genuine friendship. It sounded weak even to my ears. Like a fairy tale nobody would believe. Then Fraser stood for cross-examination. This was the moment. The kill shot. He knew it. I knew it. The entire courtroom knew it. Ms. Carter, you claim you graduated from Stanford University. Is that correct? Yes. Yet we've contacted Stanford's registrar. They have no record of a Riley Carter graduating in the past 5 years. Can you explain that? My heart stopped. I graduated under a different circumstance. It was a simple yes or no, please. Did Stanford confirm your graduation? Marcus jumped up. Objection. He's not giving the witness a chance to explain. Overruled. Answer the question, Ms. Carter. I swallowed. There were complications with. Fraser cut me off. Held up a document. This is a letter from Stanford's administration. It clearly states they have no record of your enrollment. No classes. No degree. Nothing. Were you lying about your education? The courtroom erupted. Whispers turned to loud conversations. Judge Morrison banged his gavel. Order. I was drowning. Couldn't breathe. This couldn't be happening. I did go to Stanford. I did graduate. But I'd used a scholarship under a different program. A special enrollment for low-income students. The records were confidential. Protected. I couldn't prove it without. Fraser smiled. Victory. Ms. Carter, isn't it true that you're exactly what you appear to be? A barista with no education, no skills, and no business running a multi-million-dollar company? Isn't it true that you saw an old, sick, lonely man and decided to take advantage? No, that's not. Then explain the company. Who actually built NeuroBloom? Because it certainly wasn't you. Something inside me snapped. The same feeling from opening statements. The same rage I'd been swallowing my entire life. Every time Cynthia called me stupid. Every time someone dismissed me. Every time I was told I wasn't enough. I looked at Fraser. Then at the judge. Then at Cynthia. Her smug face. Her fake tears. Her absolute certainty that she'd won. And I smiled. May I present evidence, Your Honor? Judge Morrison frowned. This should have been submitted during discovery, Ms. Carter. I understand, Your Honor. But I believe the court needs to see this. Right now. It's directly relevant to Mr. Fraser's questions. The judge glanced at his watch. Sighed. Fine. But make it quick. We're already behind schedule. Marcus looked at me confused. I hadn't told him about this part. Didn't want him to know. Because if I told him, he might have tried to stop me. Might have said it was too risky. Too dramatic. Too much. But I didn't care anymore. I was done being careful. Done being quiet. Done letting people like Cynthia and Fraser make me feel small. I reached into my bag. Pulled out my tablet. The external hard drive. And the USB stick. Set them on the witness stand. The courtroom went quiet. Everyone leaning forward. Curious. Confused. Wondering what the hell I was about to do. Mr. Fraser asked who built NeuroBloom, I said. My voice was clear now. Strong. No shaking. The answer is me. Every line of code. Every algorithm. Every feature. I built it. And I can prove it. I opened the tablet. Connected it to the courtroom's display. My fingers flew across the screen. Years of late-night coding made this second nature. I pulled up the NeuroBloom source code. Thousands of lines. Complex. Beautiful. This is the core platform, I explained. The AI that powers our mental health matching system. It uses neural networks to analyze user input and connect them with appropriate resources. See this section here? I highlighted a chunk of code. This is a custom algorithm I developed. It's unique. Nobody else in the industry uses this approach. And here, I pulled up another file, are the commit logs. Every update to the codebase. Timestamped. With my username. Dating back 3 years. Fraser stood. Your Honor, this proves nothing. Anyone can fake digital records. I'm not finished, I interrupted. Rude. But necessary. I also have patent filings. 3 of them. For the core technology behind NeuroBloom. All filed under my name. All approved by the USPTO. You can verify them right now. I displayed the patents on screen. Official documents. Government seals. My name in black and white. Riley Carter. Inventor. The courtroom noise grew louder. Judge Morrison leaned forward. Actually interested now. Ms. Carter, why wasn't this presented earlier? Because I wanted them to underestimate me, Your Honor. I wanted Mr. Fraser and my aunt to believe their own lies. That I'm just a barista. Just a stupid girl who got lucky. Because that's what they've always believed. That's what everyone believes when they look at me. I met Cynthia's eyes. She was pale. Frozen. Starting to understand. Starting to realize. But I'm not just a barista. I'm a software engineer. I graduated Stanford with honors. I built a company from nothing. And Mr. Holden didn't leave me his shares because I manipulated him. He left them because I earned them. Because I did the work. Because I was the only one who believed in what we were building. I plugged in the external hard drive. And I have proof. Hundreds of hours of recorded meetings. Every conversation I had with Mr. Holden. He insisted we document everything. He knew this day would come. He knew people would try to take it from me. I pressed play. Mr. Holden's voice filled the courtroom. Clear. Sharp. Totally lucid. Riley, I want you to understand something. This company is yours. You built it. I'm just the investor. The mentor. But the genius? That's all you. Don't let anyone tell you different. Another clip. I'm updating my will to leave you my shares. Not because I pity you. Not because I'm confused or medicated or whatever they'll claim. But because you deserve it. You've worked harder than anyone I've ever met. This is your reward. Another. If my family comes after you, and they will, don't back down. You have the evidence. The documentation. The truth. Stand up and fight. The room was dead silent now. Even Fraser had stopped objecting. Just stood there. Speechless. The jury was riveted. Judge Morrison's expression had completely changed. No more boredom. No more dismissiveness. He was actually paying attention. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I pulled out the USB stick. My final card. My nuclear option. The recording even Marcus didn't know existed. The one that would end this forever. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence. A recording from 6 months before Mr. Holden died. A conversation he had with my aunt. One she didn't know he was documenting. Cynthia shot to her feet. You can't play that. That's illegal. I didn't consent to. Sit down, Ms. Foster, Judge Morrison commanded. California is a one-party consent state. If Mr. Holden was recording his own conversations in his own home, it's perfectly legal. Ms. Carter, proceed. My finger hovered over the play button. I looked at Cynthia one last time. Saw the panic in her eyes. The realization that she'd lost. That everything she'd built, her lawsuit, her lies, her performance, was about to crumble. I pressed play. And the truth came pouring out. Cynthia's voice cut through the courtroom speakers like a knife. Richard, let's be reasonable here. You barely know this girl. She's been working at a cafe for what, a few years? And now suddenly you're leaving her millions? Don't you think that's a bit odd? Mr. Holden's response was calm. Patient. Cynthia, I know exactly who Riley is. I've worked with her for 2 years. I've seen her code. Her intelligence. Her dedication. She's one of the most brilliant minds I've encountered in 40 years of engineering. She's playing you. Can't you see that? Riley has always been manipulative. Ever since she was a child. Always trying to get something for nothing. I raised her. I know her better than anyone. She's using you for your money. The courtroom was frozen. Every eye on the speaker. Every ear straining to catch each word. Cynthia sat at the plaintiff's table, face white as paper. Her lawyers frantically whispered to each other. But there was nothing they could do. The truth was spilling out. Live. Undeniable. Cynthia, Riley has never asked me for anything. Not once. I approached her. I invested in her idea because it's brilliant. Because she's brilliant. The company we built together is valued at over $3 million now. And it's growing. That's not luck. That's talent. Cynthia's voice turned sharp. Venomous. The mask slipping. She's 19 years old, Richard. Barely out of high school. She has no degree. No education. She's a barista who thinks she's smarter than she is. And you're falling for it. You're letting some manipulative little. Enough. Mr. Holden's voice was steel. I've heard enough. Riley is 22, not 19. She's a Stanford graduate with a computer science degree. She commuted 2 hours each way to earn that degree while working full-time to pay rent to you. To you, Cynthia. Her own aunt who charged her for a basement couch and treated her like a burden her entire life. Silence on the recording. Then Cynthia, quieter now. Dangerous. She told you that? What else did she tell you? Lies about me? About how I raised her? Riley never told me anything. I figured it out myself. The bruises she tried to hide. The way she flinched when her phone rang. The fact that she slept in our office half the time because she was working late. She was hiding from you, Cynthia. And I don't blame her. The courtroom erupted. Gasps. Shocked murmurs. Judge Morrison banged his gavel, but even he looked stunned. Fraser was on his feet, trying to object, but his voice was drowned out by the noise. Marcus stared at me with wide eyes. He hadn't known any of this. Nobody had. I'd buried it. Survived it. Moved on. But now it was all coming out. The truth I'd hidden for a decade. Cynthia's voice again, barely controlled rage. You don't know what you're talking about. I gave that girl everything. A home. Food. Clothes. I saved her from foster care. And this is how she repays me? By turning you against me. No, Cynthia. Riley didn't turn me against you. You did that yourself. The way you talk about her. The way you dismiss her achievements. You're jealous. Jealous that she's everything you'll never be. Brilliant. Hardworking. Kind. And you can't stand it. A crash on the recording. Something breaking. Then Cynthia's voice, screaming now. Give me what I'm owed, Richard. That money should be mine. I raised her. I sacrificed for her. I deserve compensation. Get out of my house. You're making a mistake. When you die, I'll contest the will. I'll take her to court. I'll destroy her. She'll have nothing. Mr. Holden's laugh was bitter. Try it. I've documented everything. Every meeting. Every conversation. Every line of code Riley wrote. Every patent filed under her name. I've made sure she's protected. Because I knew someone like you would come for her. Predators always do. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret is wasting my breath on you. Now leave. And don't come back. A door slammed. The recording ended. The courtroom was chaos. People shouting. Reporters typing frantically. Camera flashes from the gallery. Judge Morrison banged his gavel over and over, screaming for order. Cynthia was sobbing. Real tears now. Not the fake ones from earlier. These were tears of humiliation. Of exposure. Of losing everything. Fraser tried one last desperate move. Your Honor, this recording is clearly taken out of context. It doesn't prove. Sit down, Mr. Fraser. Judge Morrison's voice cut through the noise like thunder. Sit down. Fraser collapsed into his chair. Defeated. He knew it. Everyone knew it. This was over. Cynthia had lost. Not just the case. Everything. Her reputation. Her credibility. Her carefully constructed image as the selfless aunt who raised her orphan niece. Gone. Destroyed by her own words. The judge looked at me. His expression had changed completely from this morning. No more dismissiveness. No more condescension. Just respect. And maybe a little shame for how he'd treated me earlier. Ms. Carter, I owe you an apology. I made assumptions about you. About this case. I was wrong. I nodded. Couldn't speak. My throat was too tight. Too emotional. 10 years of abuse. 10 years of being told I was worthless. And finally, someone in power believed me. Saw the truth. Validated my pain. This court rules in favor of the defendant. The inheritance stands. Ms. Carter is the rightful owner of Richard Holden's shares in Neurobloom. Furthermore, he turned to Cynthia, Ms. Foster, I'm ordering you to pay Ms. Carter's legal fees. And I'm referring this case to the district attorney for investigation into potential fraud and perjury charges. You attempted to steal from this young woman through deception and manipulation. That will not stand in my courtroom. The gavel came down. Final. Absolute. Cynthia wailed. Her lawyer scrambled to comfort her. But it was over. She'd lost. And everyone knew it. The journalists swarmed. Cameras everywhere. Questions shouted from all directions. Marcus put his arm around me, guided me through the crowd. We made it to the hallway. I collapsed against the wall. Slid down to the floor. Just sat there. Breathing. Trying to process. You did it, Marcus said. He was grinning. Huge smile. Riley, you actually did it. You won. I won. The words didn't feel real. I'd spent so long preparing for this fight. So long expecting to lose. To be destroyed. to have everything taken from me. And instead, I'd won. Not just the case. My freedom. My future. My proof that I was worth something. Real justice isn't loud. It's prepared. Subscribe if you believe truth always wins in the end. The next few weeks were a blur. Media frenzy. Every tech blog wanted an interview. Every news station wanted the story. Barista beats greedy ant in inheritance battle. Stanford graduate proves she's more than meets the eye. Neurobloom CEO Riley Carter's incredible journey. I did a few interviews. Told my story. Showed people that you can come from nothing and still build something meaningful. The publicity was actually good for business. Neurobloom's user count doubled. Then tripled. Investors who'd been nervous during the trial suddenly wanted meetings. Wanted to throw money at us. We raised $5 million in new funding. Expanded the team. Opened a real office with actual conference rooms and everything. But I still thought about Mr. Holden every day. Still missed him. Still wished he could see what we'd become. What I'd become. I visited his grave every Sunday. Brought flowers. Told him about the company. About the users we'd helped. About the lives we'd saved. I liked to think he could hear me. That he was proud. Cynthia tried to appeal. Fraser warned her it was pointless. The evidence was too overwhelming. The recording too damning. But she pushed forward anyway. Spent her savings on legal fees. The appeal was rejected within 2 weeks. She tried to contact me after that. Emails. Calls. Letters. I blocked her. Deleted her. She was dead to me. Not out of hate. Out of necessity. I had to protect my peace. My mental health. My future. She was poison. Always had been. I just finally had the strength to cut her out. 6 months after the trial, I was sitting in my office. Real office. CEO office. Corner view of Palo Alto. Photos of Mr. Holden on my desk. I was reviewing our quarterly numbers when my assistant knocked. Riley, there's someone here to see you. She says it's important. I looked up. A young woman stood in my doorway. Maybe 19. Nervous. Clutching a folder. She looked like me at that age. Scared. Hopeful. Desperate for someone to believe in her. Can I help you? I asked. She stepped forward. Ms. Carter, my name is Becca Torres. I'm a foster kid. Been in the system since I was 10. I'm trying to learn coding. Trying to get into college. But I don't have money. Or resources. Or anyone to help me. I read about your story. About how you built this company. And I thought, her voice broke, I thought maybe you'd understand. Maybe you'd give me advice. Or a chance. Or just something. I stared at her. Saw myself. Saw every kid who grows up being told they don't matter. Who has to fight for every scrap. Who dreams of something better but has no idea how to get there. And I made a decision. The same decision Mr. Holden made for me all those years ago. Becca, sit down. Let's talk about what you're working on. Her eyes filled with tears. Really? Really. And after we talk, I want to show you something I've been planning. A new initiative. Neurobloom Scholars. Full scholarships for kids from foster care and abusive homes who want to study tech. Mentorship. Job placement. Everything you need to succeed. I'm naming the first scholarship after Richard Holden, the man who believed in me. And I'm offering the first spot to you, if you want it. Becca sobbed. Full ugly crying. Just like I did when Mr. Holden offered to invest in me. I want it. I want it so much. Then it's yours. Welcome to Neurobloom, Becca. This is where your life changes. That moment. That decision. That was when I finally understood what Mr. Holden gave me. Not just money. Not just opportunity. Purpose. The chance to break the cycle. To take the pain I'd survived and turn it into hope for someone else. To be for Becca what Mr. Holden was for me. A believer. A mentor. A reminder that you're worth more than your circumstances. Neurobloom Scholars launched 3 months later. We funded 10 students the first year. All from backgrounds like mine. All brilliant. All overlooked. All deserving of a chance. I worked with each one personally. Reviewed their code. Gave them advice. Became the mentor I wish I'd had at their age. The program grew. 20 students the second year. 50 the third. Media covered it. Riley Carter pays it forward. Tech CEO creates pipeline for underserved youth. But it wasn't about publicity. It was about justice. Real justice. The kind that changes lives. I still work at NeuroBloom. Still code. Still build. The company hit 10 million in valuation last month. We're expanding internationally, helping people in countries where mental health care is even worse than America. Saving lives. Making a difference. Living the dream Mr. Holden and I built together. Sometimes I drive past Cynthia's house. Can't help it. It's on the way to the office. I see her car in the driveway. Her life continuing. Smaller now. Quieter. I don't feel angry anymore. Don't feel anything really. She's just a person I used to know. A chapter I've closed. A lesson I've learned. The lesson isn't about revenge. Or even forgiveness. It's about documentation. About protecting yourself. About believing in your worth even when everyone tells you you're worthless. It's about finding people who see your potential and holding on to them. It's about using your pain to fuel your purpose instead of letting it destroy you. Mr. Holden taught me that. And now I teach it to every student who walks through my door. Every person who's been dismissed. Overlooked. Underestimated. I tell them what he told me. You're brilliant. You're capable. You're enough. And I'll prove it to you until you believe it yourself. That's the real inheritance he left me. Not money. Not a company. But the unshakable knowledge that I matter. That my voice deserves to be heard. That my dreams are valid. And that legacy? That's worth more than any amount of money. Because it's the one thing no one can ever take from me. No lawsuit. No cruel relative. No doubt. It's mine forever. And I'll spend the rest of my life passing it on. If you survived to the end and haven't subscribed yet, drop a comment telling me why. Let's talk. Because stories like this, they're everywhere. They're real. And they're worth fighting for. Just like you are. Remember that. You're worth fighting for. Always.